We did see an exciting junior middleweight fight a month ago that you were certainly involved with, Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. As far as looking back on the fight now, it was about 5 weeks ago. What can we reflect on? Do you feel that it lived up to the hype?
Yeah, I thought it was a fun fight to watch. I think it was mainly it has to do with Mayweather coming forward and trying to take the aggressive approach and wanting to give the fans what they wanted to see. I don't think Floyd Mayweather ever respected Conor McGregor. I heard Floyd Mayweather talk before the fight, and no matter what he said publicly, in private, he had no respect at all for Conor McGregor, nor his boxing abilities or his boxing IQ. So I had a feeling that he was going to take this kind of aggressive approach, because that's what you do when you don't respect a fighter. And that's what he did. But, of course, it made the fight exciting. It made the fight more watchable for the fans. And I think people got their money's worth in the end of the day.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You sparred with Conor twice, and you made your thoughts very clear after the second sparring session when you weren't going to go back for any future sessions with Conor. We in Australia didn't get to watch the Showtime feed. We watched the one with Brian Kenny and Sugar Ray Leonard. So we didn't really get to see your round by round take on the fight. So for the benefit of our listeners here in Australia, how did you find calling the fight given your involvement with the lead up?
No, I thought it was fine. I thought Conor had some solid early rounds, and then Floyd started to break him. It was always kind of what I expected. Conor can't take body shots. I said that before the fight, and the body shots broke him. Conor will break. Once he breaks, he doesn't want to fight. I said that before the fight. As soon as he's uncomfortable, he'll look for a way out of the fight, and that's exactly what happened as well. And of course, in the beginning, I said he can be a bit confusing the first time you see him, especially for a few rounds. And I think he was a bit confusing the first few rounds for Floyd, because it was the first time Floyd saw him. So I was absolutely not surprised at the way the fight played out. I think the fight played out exactly the way I expected it to, in every single way. And so when it played out in that way, I wasn't shocked, and I kind of, it was the way I called it, and we were calling it that way over the course of the fight. I thought Conor had some success early. Once Floyd got the hang of him, especially he went to the body, he started breaking him. I thought that the body shots fatigued Conor McGregor. That's what body shots do. And then once he fatigued, he looked for a way out of the fight, and that's exactly what he got.
Yeah. Well, Floyd certainly did pour it on him the last few rounds. If you are a Conor McGregor fan and you saw his performance against Floyd and you thought to yourself, hey, I reckon he can box, what positives could you take from a boxing perspective with the performance Conor delivered?
Just that in the beginning of the fight, in a couple of rounds, I think you can take some positives out of that. I do think that had more to do with Floyd and his lack of respect approach than it did for anything Conor McGregor was actually doing. But still, nonetheless, if you're a Conor McGregor fan, you can pull at that and really try to take something out of that and try to take something positive out of it.
Yeah, and if you're a Conor fan and you're thinking to yourself, oh hey, I reckon he has a chance in competing in boxing. I asked Steve Forbes this question when we did our post-fight show for Conor versus Floyd, or Floyd versus Conor rather, and I asked him how many fights would it take to get Conor to a world championship fight, similar like the ones we're going to see next weekend. And if I ask you the same question, how long would it take to get Conor ready for a world title fight?
Legitimately ready? It would take years, but I don't think he would get there in those years, though. He would get beat along the way somewhere, Conor McGregor is decent. I think he'd make a good journeyman, But I think if you bring him up the ladder the way you bring up a prospect, where they get better and better through the years, I think he gets beat along the way. I don't think he gets beat by the complete bum opponent. I think he wins some of those fights, and then slowly but surely, as you raise the level, he'll get beat. But then again, boxing's a business. If you have the right matchmaker and you move him the right way, and you find enough bums, and you disguise those bums as guys that maybe they can fight, you can move him. At the end of the day, this is a sport that made Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. a champion. And Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., let's face it, is not anywhere near a world-class level. God bless him, but he was nowhere near that, Yet they managed to make him a world champion. So this is a business before it's a sport. I think if you take a patient approach with Conor, you give enough illusions through the years, and then you manage to find a weak champion, maybe for a vacant title. You come along at the right time, and then suddenly, you may have found him a home as a world champion. But it would take a long time. It would take years. And then even through those years, you may be wasting your time. Maybe you may get beat along the way. So it'd be very difficult. It's not easy to build and create a world champion.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as post-fight discussion regarding a potential fight between you and Conor, I heard Conor recently reference wanting to fight you in MMA, but he certainly didn't bring up fighting you in boxing. What sort of chance do you think there is to see the two of you do battle in the boxing ring?
I think Conor's an outright bum, and he knows he's an outright bum. All the talk that he did for me and give me concussions and whatnot, and then knocking me down and sparring, all that talk that was just talking day's end, he proved with that statement what exactly happened. By him not wanting to avoid the boxing ring at all costs, he proved that he was the outright bum I always called him out to be. I said he was a liar. I said he wasn't somebody who was talking about what really happened as opposed to what happened. And he's an outright bum. And at the end of the day, when he's an outright bum and he has to create the illusion that he's not an outright bum, he has to come up with these lies. He has to come up with these kind of situations. You know, you have to turn things around and change them up. So, no, I think he's an outright bum, and you know, he owns stuff in a way where he can illusion. So I'm thinking illusion, but yet prove what avoid having to prove with actions all that talk that he did. Well, how's he going to try to prove it with actions? He's going to try to avoid the boxing ring altogether and try to put it in the cage, because there's no way he can prove it with actions in a boxing ring. After saying all the things he said he did in a boxing ring, he's now trying to swerve it. You know, this is a guy who's going to avoid major money by fighting me in boxing. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to make Mayweather money ever again. But because the boxing ring has a Muhammad Ali Act in the United States, you keep more of a percentage of your money in boxing than you will in mixed martial arts. So the highest paying fight you can make right now is against Paulie Malignaggi in a boxing ring. He cannot make any more money against anybody in MMA. The other guys who are a threat to him pay too little money. And Nate Diaz, who's also a threat, and you have a built-in storyline, will want more money, and also is a mixed martial arts fight where Dana White can keep the largest percentage of the money without having to pay anything for it. In boxing, the Muhammad Ali Act exists, so he has to get the correct split of the money in the United States. Plus, with the built-in storyline, this fight sells, and this fight sells a lot. So he's actually avoiding the most money he can make, besides Mayweather, obviously, by not fighting me in boxing. So it goes to show you, again, the outright bum this guy is, that after all the talk that he did in boxing, after all the swerving that he did, after all the video editing that he did, if it was that easy, he could make the most money he can make right now by fighting me in boxing, and he still is looking for a way out of that. He still is looking for a way out of proving what he himself said was the truth, right? Because now he's got to put his money where his mouth is. He's got to put his actions where his mouth is. Like I said, everything I've ever said about this guy is proving true little by little. Whether people want to believe it now is up to them, but the facts are proving themselves true little by little. He's an outright bum. He doesn't stand for anything. He's not even a man.
It's really interesting, this the lead up into the Floyd fight, the amount of attention that was focused on your sparring sessions with Conor, and the supposed
and it was all really to just sell himself, because in reality nobody thought he had a chance in this. And I think that was used as a decoy to take away the attention from what a bum the guy is. You know, what a bum he is, not just as a fighter, but what a bum he is as a personality too. I mean, the guy has no balls whatsoever. You know, you put him in a tough spot and he's looking for the first window to jump out of. Literally, the instant it gets tough, he's looking for a way out of the fight. I mean, you don't even have to wait around. I mean, literally, the instant it gets tough, he stops fighting. He's looking for a way out of the fight. That's what he did in the Mayweather fight. That's what he would do anytime it gets tough. You know, so I think anything they could do to put a decoy on those things, they did. And I think the best way to put that decoy was to set up this edited footage where he got beat up for 10 out of 12 rounds. The only reason he didn't get it beat up for the last 2 rounds is because I was 24 hours off a flight and not even in 12-round shape. And so he took the editing of the last 2 rounds of sparring and then made a 15-second clip. This is a guy that 24 hours off a plane, I beat him up 10 out of 12 rounds. The bum that he is, he was in camp, and I'm literally getting off my couch, coming to camp and smacking him around like my little sister. You know what I'm saying? It's really quite amazing the way they turn this whole thing around. But again, now when he has to put his money where his mouth is, he's looking to avoid the boxing ring at all costs, because he doesn't want to prove everything there, because he can't prove it. So he's looking to swerve it as much as he can and hope that all these gullible people continue to believe it without him having to prove it.
Yeah, well, I still find it funny that, like, you did 2 sessions, and the second session after that you left. if you stayed for the next 2 or 3 weeks, what would have we seen in sparring between the two of you guys?
You would have seen me never lose a second of any more rounds. You know, like I was beating him up more and more every session. The problem I had after the second sparring is he's continuing to put up pictures. So no matter how I'm beating him up, he's going to continue to try to sell this as he's beating me up. So even if I continue to smack him all over the place, even worse and worse, because it would have literally got worse and worse, because I'm going to get in shape. He's already in shape. He can't get any better. But I'm going to continue to get in better shape, and I'm going to continue to get sharper. So I'm going to start smacking him around more and more and more and more. But the problem is he will always have photographers taking certain pictures that get wet. So there will always be a picture or two of him landing a punch, and that was what will always be posted online. So after the second session, I said, nah, this is a no-win situation for me. I'm going to continue to smack this guy around, and everybody's going to be talking like I'm the one getting smacked around. I mean, this is not even worth it for me, you know? So I left.
Yeah. Do you reckon it was an opportunity lost on their part, that if they did have you for, say, 2 or 3 more weeks, he could have improved and put up a better fight come August 26th?
I don't know how much he would have improved him on enough to probably take away his confidence. He's a guy you get extra pleasure out of beating up. He's such an unlikable guy that, like, smacking a guy like that around, you actually get, like, an extra pleasure. Like, you get pleasure out of smacking guys around when you're a fighter because, you know, you make you feel superior. But to smack a guy like that around, it's so much like an extra satisfaction. It's hard to describe. Like, he's such a guy that he makes these funny faces when you smack him around. Like, you hit him to the body, he sounds to whimper like a girl. It's like it actually gives you more satisfaction. So I don't know how much confidence he would have actually took into the fight if I stayed in camp, continue to smack him around. But what I'll tell you this is, if I would have stayed in camp and they would have asked me questions about it, maybe they would have got some knowledge out of it. But they never did that anyway, so it didn't matter to me, because even when I was there, nobody ever deferred to me for any kind of knowledge, regardless.
Yeah, that's interesting. Did you think that it was interesting how many particular MMA guys, men and women, who watched the footage of you, the edited footage of the knockdown, actually thought it was a knockdown?
Well, I don't expect a lot of mixed martial arts guys to know what they're watching as far as boxing is concerned. And honestly, I'll be honest with you. The first time that footage came out, I had to do a double take too. It was edited very well. You know, you have the furthest camera angle away. You're giving the illusion that something's happening that's not happening, especially in real fast time. Unless you slow that video down, it's actually edited in a way, and they have different camera angles turning in a way where they actually make it very hard to see what's going on in real time. You have to actually slow the footage down frame by frame to realize that not even a single punch is landing. And then in order to put a single punch landing, you have to take something from the next round and put it in there so that you can show punches landing. Because in the sequence where I went down, there's not even a shot landing. I mean, it's him holding me behind my neck, me pulling away, and when he takes his hand off my neck, I swing shot backwards and I fall. You know, so in order to now put punches that landed in there, you have to actually take footage from the next round, which is the 12th round, and I was tired, I'll admit. Like I said, I'm just tired. And he put some landed from the round and cut me where I went down. Well, like I said, the only reason I went down is because his hand is down my neck, and I'm trying to pull up and away. And when he takes his hand off my neck, I swing shot backwards and I fall. You know, it was, like I said, very well crafted, and in real time, you don't really see it that well unless you slow things down. So, of course, I don't think the untrained eye is going to ever understand it unless they slow it down. Because in reality, even some of the trained eyes, you know, even some of the fighters, you know, it even got me, honestly. It got me, too, where, like, you know, in real time, I had to watch it like 2 or 3 times to say, wait a minute, this wasn't what happened, you know. When I watched it a couple of times, I said, okay, now it makes sense. You know, they just cut the angles in a way where they make it really, they leave it up in the air, a lot of things, you know. But, you know, it was done well by them, you know. It's a reason they took about 10 days to release it. They had to really edit what they could, you know. But if you have about 30 seconds of highlights in 36 minutes, you have to understand what a bum you have to be. You have to understand the level of bum this guy is, that they tried to make him look as good as they could and make him look as bad as they could. And all they found was 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds of highlights. That some of them repeated, by the way. Some of them aren't even new ones. They're just repeated over and over, you know, so from different angles. So you have to understand the level of bum this guy was, that I got up off the couch, smacked him around for about 30 out of 36 minutes. And even in those 6 minutes where he probably won the rounds, you know, he still only had 30 seconds of worth of highlights that you can actually show anything that's conclusive, or even inconclusive at that, So you have to understand the level of bum this guy is. This is why I'm trying to basically force this guy to prove himself now. It's the highest money fight he can make, because it's boxing, because of the reality act, and because of the popularity of the fight. And it's against the guy that he says, not me, he says he smacked around. So he's going to now swerve around the highest paying money fight he can make, and in his eyes, the way he sold it, the easiest fight he can make, in order to not fight me, to not prove what he said. Like I said, the guy's an outright bum. He's a storyteller. And now when you put him to the test and have to put his money where his mouth is, like a man does, he looks to go the other way. Because, again, this is not a guy who's a man.
This fight sells itself. I think you versus Conor McGregor would be a mega event. And
or if you don't fight, just release the footage. You know what? If you did so well at this point, shut me up. Release all 36 minutes. Shut me up. Because you can't do it. You have to understand they can't do that. So they're just trying to make this thing keep quiet and go away. Or like he tried to do the other day in the interview, try to swerve it so that he can do a mixed martial arts fight with me instead of a boxing match. I'm not broke. I'm far from broke. So we're not going to do a mixed martial arts fight. I don't need the money that badly. We're going to do a boxing fight where we're going to show how much of a man you are or aren't.
Yeah, well, the fight still is certainly something Conor can look at. And for anyone who, I guess, finds it interesting that you were tired in the last rounds, obviously that makes sense because you just come off the flight. But the fact that
Conor... And I wasn't training. I mean, you got to understand, there was probably women I wouldn't have been able to do 12 rounds again. But this guy is such a bum. I was still able to do 12 rounds basically off my couch. You have to understand there's probably female fighters I wouldn't be able to do 12 rounds against in that state. Yet this guy was such a bum. I was able to do 12 rounds and probably beat him up for 9, 10 of those rounds. Amazing.
And for Conor to gas out the way he did, like obviously he was broken down through the punches over the course of the fight, but what does that say about his boxing cardio, if you like, or ability to fight a 12-round fight? Did you notice he had issues with fatigue during your 12-round sparring session?
Yeah. The only reason he got brave in the last 2 rounds was because I was so fatigued I couldn't keep fighting, so I had to really slow down, and he got brave because the second half of the first 10 rounds, he went into such a defensive shell, he wasn't fighting at all. So I could already tell he starts to fold and he starts to fade away, and then, of course, he's looking for a way to get back in it if you let him in. Now, 11 and 12, I had no energy left, so he was able to start punching back again, But I noticed when I was smacking him around, especially the second half of the first 10 rounds, he almost stopped fighting altogether. He even stopped talking. Because he was talking back to me. He stopped even talking. So it was just me punching him, beating on him, and talking to him, And then, of course, 11 and 12, I got really tired. And I said, you know what? You wanted 12, I'm going to give you 12, even if they're going to be hard on me the last 2 rounds. That's what I did. But ultimately, I wasn't surprised at the way the fight went because once this guy is in a heap of trouble, it's nothing to do with cardio because we all get tired even when we're in shape. Even when we're in shape, in rounds 9, 10, 11, and 12, we're tired. Even if we're in shape, we're tired. Because that's the point in the fight where fatigue starts to set in regardless of how good a shape you're in. So your mental starts to take over instead of your physical, And this guy is such an outright bum. And like I said, as soon as the mental comes into play, there's nothing there because he's a quitter, full throttle. When it's all in, he's all out.
One thing I found interesting was that a lot of Conor's hype regarding the promotion was his fitness program and how he's doing all these advanced fitness training techniques. The fact that the fight, he at the end of the fight, he's saying it's fatigue. What can you explain from a boxing perspective that based on all the training he was doing and showing, and the performance that he delivered?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this again. It's mental at a certain point. Okay, physically, you can get in shape all you want. All fighters get in shape. But in 9, 10, 11, and 12, we are tired. Doesn't matter if we're in shape, we are tired. So now when we're uncomfortable, we have to convince our minds that we can do it because our bodies can do it. We're in shape. It's not like we're out of shape. We're in shape. We get in shape. But then you start to get uncomfortable around 9, 10, 11, 12. So you have to now convince your mind that the training you did will get you through this. And it does. It does and it will if you believe in yourself, if you're strong-minded, because you did do the physical training. So Conor McGregor, just like every other fighter, did the physical training. He was being an Instagram model every single day about how much he was bike riding and how much he fitness he was doing, conditioning he was doing. But at the end of the day, just like all fighters, there's going to come that point where you're going to be uncomfortable, and you have to convince your body with your mind that you can actually finish. You can actually do this because you are in shape. You are, in fact, in shape, and you, in fact, did do the cardio, and you, in fact, did train. You are uncomfortable, but if your mind convinces your body, you will be able to do it because you did train. Convincing your body takes guts. It takes balls. You understand what I mean by Conor McGregor. He doesn't want to be uncomfortable. This is a guy, it doesn't matter how hard he trains. He can run a marathon a day. It does not matter. When the fight gets tough, he will look to get out of the fight. This is a guy with no balls. You can't just give him balls when he doesn't have any. He has nothing there. As a character, it takes a lot of character to be a fighter. This man has no character. I've said it through and through, and he proves it, and he continues to prove it when the going gets tough. You just got to get him there, and he'll jump off the hill himself. You got to get him to the top of the mountain. If you can just get him to the edge, he'll jump off himself. You don't even have to push him. He'll do the jumping himself. He doesn't want to be there when it's tough.
And what do you have to say about the stoppage? He certainly wanted the fight to continue after the fight, but what was it? No, a fair stoppage?
Yeah, of course. After the fight, it's easy. Yeah, it was a fair stoppage. After the fight, it's easy. You see, here's what you can do. You can easily prevent a referee from stopping a fight. All you got to do is fight back. All you have to do is punch back. When it's really tough and you're getting hit, all you have to do is show the referee that you are fighting back. If you show the referee any signs of life, believe me, he won't stop the fight. But if your body language, you give this all-out quitting body language. I mean, the body language was terrible. You stumbling all over. You would have thought he fought 50 rounds. The guy fought 8 rounds, 9 rounds. You would have thought he fought 50 rounds the way he was stumbling all over the place. Because he said himself that he wasn't hurt, right? Didn't he say himself that he wasn't hurt? So why are you stumbling all over the ring like that? You're in shape. Why are you stumbling all over? Because you want the referee to stop the fight. You have to understand one thing he's saying and one thing he's doing. This is his life in general. It's one thing he's saying. It's constant, even outside the ring. It's one thing he's saying. It's one thing he's doing. This guy is a fraud through and through, whether it's inside the ring, whether it's inside the cage, or whether it's outside of everything. He's a fraud. He sells you a bunch of wolf tickets. He's not really selling you the reality of anything. So, again, after the fight, when the fight's over and Floyd can no longer punch him in the mouth, because now, the fight's over, nobody's going to punch you in the mouth, you can say anything you want. And if there's enough gullible people out there, they will believe you, because you're allowed to say anything you want. You are assured of not being punched in the face again for the rest of the night. So once that fight is over and you've assured yourself of that, you can now go back to being brave again with your mouth. Not with your actions, because he's never brave with his actions, just with his mouth. And that's what he did. In reality, all he had to do was punch back, and the referee would have let him continue. He didn't punch back. He didn't fight back. He just kept stumbling. The referee had no choice.
There was a minute 56 left in the round. If the referee didn't stop it at that stage, how much longer do you reckon it would have been until Floyd actually knocked him down and it was as definitive as he can get?
I think he was about 10 or 15 seconds away from going down. If he wasn't, he would have took a knee. He was looking to take a knee himself. Like, he was stumbling. He was stumbling all over the place, even though he wasn't hurt. What does that tell you? That tells you that he was trying to give the referee the impression that he was hurt. He wanted the referee to stop the fight. Okay, nobody stumbles around like that unless they're hurt. Okay, Floyd didn't hit him with anything super hard. He hit him with some solid shots, but it wasn't super hard where you should be stumbling around like that. All right, so the reason he's stumbling all over the place is because he wants the referee he wants to show the referee, hey, I'm not in condition to continue fighting. Please stop this fight. Okay, if you show the referee you're in condition to continue fighting, you will be allowed to continue fighting. But then again, at that point, you're going to be assaulted and you're going to go down. They did him a favor. The referee did him a favor, because you imagine how many pictures and memes would have come out of him on the canvas like that. He did him a favor.
And in terms of post-fight, it's been now over a month since the fight. Obviously he talked after the fight. How do you feel he handled the defeat?
I think he handled it fine, I guess. I think he's a sore loser. After the fight, he tried to make like he was tired, and he would beat Floyd in a rematch. Just, again, all the things he's going to say, all the wolf tickets he's going to continue to sell. He sells you a bunch of wolf tickets. In America, that's a street term for selling you an image that's not true, He sells you a bunch of wolf tickets. And that's what he continues to do after the fight. After the fight, all he's been doing is selling a bunch of wolf tickets. Like he's this big mega fighter. Like he could beat Floyd in a rematch. Like Floyd didn't do anything. It was just him getting fatigued. It's the typical Conor McGregor way. Lie his way through everything. and get his legion of fans to actually believe all the lies, because they are, in fact, gullible enough, because they choose to be gullible enough.
And he focused on saying Floyd was composed. He kept reiterating how composed he was. Do you think that he was giving some backhanded compliments there?
Absolutely. Absolutely he was. He was absolutely giving some backhanded compliments. Floyd smacked him around. Floyd didn't even train for this fight. You have to understand what Floyd was doing. Floyd trained for this fight like a regular 9-to-5 person with a job, 9-to-5 job, goes to the gym. Like, you know how you meet a regular person and say, hey, do you work out? Yeah, I try to get to the gym an hour a day, you know, after work or something like that. That's basically what Floyd was doing. Floyd spent the entire night at his strip club every night because he just opened the strip club and he's running a business. But on his way to the strip club, he'd basically go train for an hour, maybe hit the bag, maybe shadow box. He didn't even bring his father into work paid for the last couple of weeks. This was a heist in every way. This is why Floyd wore the ski mask on the way to the ring. This was a heist in every way. He literally trained for this guy like he was on his way to where he just had a pit stop at the gym on his way to the strip club every night. That's how he trained for him. He pit stopped at the gym on his way to the strip club every night. That was Floyd's training camp for this fight. He went to Miami. When I worked the Broner Garcia fight, he was in Miami. He was going to come to New York to watch the fight, but instead he stayed in Miami to hang out. He traveled to Los Angeles to do a bunch of talk shows. This was a joke of a training camp for Mayweather, and he still smacked him around like he was playing with his little brother.
It's quite amazing, really.
So can you imagine what a world-class fighter, or even a non-world-class fighter, does if they train from McGregor? They absolutely annihilate him.
And for anyone to judge Mayweather's standing, like his boxing ability at this stage of his career based on the McGregor fight, would you think that would be an unfair representation and that he would approach, say, a legitimate contender at, say, 147 or 154 with a completely different approach?
I think Floyd, with a solid training camp, can still compete at a high level. I don't know if he's the best anymore, even now at his age, but I think with a solid training camp, mentally and physically, I think he competes with anybody in the 147-pound, 154-pound division, but it's tough. I wouldn't say he's the best anymore, but Floyd's been the best for so long, and he's earned the right to retire, and he's earned the right to make all the money he made. So at day's end, this was like free money for him. This was like an opportunity where he could jump in, beat a guy with very much ease, where there was a lot of hype behind him. And that's what he did. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Great White Hype, but this was basically the movie The Great White Hype, the real-life version of it. You know, this was almost in every way. If you watch that movie and you watch the plot lines, with the exception that the white guy in the movie was a guy who had been a good amateur, you know, because at that time mixed martial arts wasn't that popular. Replaced the good amateur career the guy had in the movie with McGregor's mixed martial arts career, you know, and now you're turning him into a professional boxer, just like that guy had a good amateur career, and you're turning him into a professional boxer. But it was just hype. There was nothing solid there behind it, you know. And it was basically the same thing. Floyd barely trained for the fight, just like Dana Wayne's in the movie. His character barely trained for the fight. I mean, it was the real life. You can't get any closer to the Great White Hype movie unless you actually watch the movie The Great White Hype. I mean, if you're gonna make a real life version of it, this is about as close to it as you could get.
Yeah, I've watched the movie, and it certainly has that feel to it. And just to close out our discussion on Floyd and Conor, what can you say about Dana White and the way he handled the pre-fight hype and post-fight, as far as what his evaluation of the contest was?
I think Dana's a salesman. He's always going to be a salesman. So in that regard, he's going to sell his product. And his product right now is Conor McGregor. His product is the UFC at the moment. So, you know, in selling his product and continuing to make sure it remains a monetarily successful liability, monetarily successful enterprise, so to speak, he's going to continue to hype McGregor in the way he does. He hyped McGregor before the fight in every way he could. He hyped McGregor after the fight in every way he could. And he's going to continue to hype McGregor for any future fights, because, you know, he's going to take the momentum that a lot of people are saying that McGregor didn't disgrace himself in the fight. The only reason he didn't disgrace himself is because Mayweather didn't train for him. You know, Mayweather treated him like he was a pit stop on his way to collecting $300 million. It was a joke. But of course, you know, you're gonna run with it. You're gonna take a positive aspect out of it, and if you can take a positive aspect out of it, you're gonna run with it. And that's what Dana White is good at. You know, he's good at taking a slice of the truth and, of course, selling it to the public in a way they can. And these UFC fans, they're easily deceived because they choose to be, they want to be, and they love it. They love to be deceived. So, you know, it's a great sell, and that's what Dana does. Dana's a great salesman.
Yeah. And just one final question. If you and Conor did fight, how many pay-per-view buys do you think you guys would do?
In the U.S., I'd say right now about one and a quarter million to 1.5 million right now. I'd say I'd estimate that. It's a pretty good number.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, all the best with everything you're doing. Yeah, we certainly look forward to hearing you next weekend calling the fights. And thank you once again for your time.
All right, mate. Cheers.